All right, we've got some grass identification to do today. We've got some runners, all warm season grasses here in central Mississippi have runners. All the types of turf grass that we have, they all run along the ground. They're also known as Stolons, Stolons. Here today we have centipede grass, St. Augustine grass, carpet grass, Bermuda grass, zoysia grass, and then another Bermuda runner that I'm going to talk about here in a little bit. Why is it important to know the differences? Well, different types of grass, also known as turf, also known as your lawn, they all have different strengths and weaknesses. And I'll save that for another video as to what the strengths and weaknesses are. But identification is the key to being able to really make progress in your yard, to understand why the different grasses in the different parts of your yard are doing what they're doing. Because, well, yeah, that's Bermuda grass, and so that's why it's in that low spot. It can tolerate the wetness. And so identification, there's so many reasons to know, but let's just stay focused on identification. So centipede grass, as you can see, as opposed to St. Augustine grass, the centipede, the leaves are a lot skinnier. So this is my index finger. You see the leaves are very thin. By the way, it's November, so these grasses are not quite as green as they normally are. I'm sorry, it's actually December. St. Augustine, the widest bladed leaf that we have. It's really helpful to see them in comparison to each other, because that's how you can really understand, like, what does the word thick mean? What does the word thin mean? Well, when you compare it to each other, then you can really understand. I'm going to put the carpet grass here beside it too. By the way, carpet grass is native to the southeast United States. It is nobody plants this as a turf grass, but so many people have it, especially in older established landscapes. It's just here. The reason why nobody plants it is, well, I don't know all the reasons, but one is because it just doesn't have as aesthetically pleasing of an appearance once it all mats together. But I do want you to see them side by side. These three can be easily confused. They're all a lot wider bladed than the Bermuda and zoysia blades are. This Bermuda runner, by the way, is very pale green. We've had some really cold nights, and so it's starting to go dormant. It's usually a lot greener than that, but so these are the wider bladed ones. What is there to point out about these? So let's talk about morphology, or the body of the grass itself, just to kind of help you to understand what are we looking at here. So all of these turf types, if you flip them over on the bottom side, you'll see they've all got they're called nodes or internodes, and on the bottom of them there's these roots, and these roots, so the grass will grow along the ground, and then at a node it'll root down, and it'll throw out another part of the stem, which will then root down, which will throw out more parts. You can really see it good on this Bermuda grass piece. I pulled this one up just so that you could see kind of an exaggerated, or really we should say a more accurate view of what happens in a yard. You just typically can't find a runner like this. I was able to find it because we had a bare area where there wasn't other grass. This runner was intermingled and woven and matted all in, and that's what a yard is. It's these stolons that are matted together. There's thousands, perhaps millions and millions of them all weaved together that make up a yard. But when you take it apart, this is really what a yard is composed of, is these stolons, these runners, that when you turn it over and look on the bottom, it's got these, see the root right there? It roots down. It's wet today, so I was able to pull these up a lot easier. It roots down, and then it's got these runners, and it's going to run in every direction. Run. Bermuda grass is the one that runs more than any of them, which is why it's so hardy of a grass and impossible to get rid of. There was one of these that looked like it had a you can kind of see where one died off. And so even when one dies off, it's still got such an intricate system. Even if you were to chop this, it's still going to live, because guess what? Each of these nodes has roots, and it's its own plant. And so everything between the nodes can survive. You can chop it into so many pieces, but where the root is, see, one thing that's helpful when you're talking about roots and stolons and grass and why wiregrass is doing what they're doing is to understand the leaves are supported by the roots and the roots are supported by the leaves, and so they both support each other. In order to have healthy grass, you've got to have healthy roots. But I just want you to understand that all of these grasses do this same thing that this Bermuda runner is doing. It's just that, for example, with centipede, I went ahead and showed you these two because these two, they snapped off. Centipede, it's hard to get a long runner because it just snaps off so easy. This was the longest one I was able to get. And I wanted you to see this one and this one side by side, because I wanted you to see that, you know, it can be really thick and it can be really skinny. There's not one way that a centipede runner is going to look. If you turn it over, the end of the leaf blades is significant. You'll see here on the St. Augustine, you can really see the midrib in the leaf, that line in the middle that goes up and down. You have to look really close to see that on any of these other turf types. You can see it on a carpet if you look really close. But on Zoysia and Bermuda, you essentially can't see it. I mean, it's there, but it's very pronounced on St. Augustine. That midrib, that line, you turn it over, you can see it on the back. That line that goes up the middle of the leaf. Let's see if I can get a better focus on it. No. That looks like a good one right there. Excuse my dirty fingers here. But that line, also the ending of the leaf blade, it's more rounded on a St. Augustine. This is St. Augustine. Whereas with centipede, it comes to more of a sharp point. Carpet grass leaves, they're kind of wavy. They're not just a sharp lined edge. It's got more of a wave in it. Kind of hard to show on this video, but St. Augustine, the part of the leaf right here, it's flat. It's really flat, whereas it is flat on centipede, but you really got to move some things around to be able to see it. Whereas with St. Augustine, it's a lot easier to see. It's going to have more of a whitish appearance. It's covered over in a yard because there's stolons on top of stolons, and so you can't really see those white middles. But if you ever do have a spot where it's thinner, that's another helpful identification. In the wintertime, centipede's going to have more of a reddish color, and the more you look at it and you watch videos like this, or you go outside and you really see what know what you're looking at, and the more you just keep looking day after day, week after week, month after month, and year after year, you're going to really be able to see that those aren't just, that's just grass. But you're going to be able to see centipede grass, St. Augustine grass, carpet grass. Let's talk about Bermuda and Zoysia. Many professors and researchers that I've talked to over the years, they have trouble distinguishing the difference of Bermuda grass and Zoysia grass. As you can see, if you put them together, man, that gets really difficult to see. Let me say one really big important thing about Zoysia grass. Zoysia grass, there's as many types of Zoysia as there are grass. There's Zoysia that can look like centipede, Zoysia that can look like St. Augustine, Zoysia that can look like carpet grass, Zoysia that can look like Bermuda grass. So be very considerate or sober-minded when talking about Zoysia. There's so many different types of Zoysia. But in general, they favor Bermuda grass a lot more. Typically they're wider bladed, they're more wide. The leaf blades are wider than the Bermuda leaf blades are. They're both pointed. Let's put this beside centipede. As you can see, when they're together, it's like, man, what are we looking at? what can I say about the difference in centipede and zoysia? Zoysia, you're going to be able to pull it up more like Bermuda grass. Centipede typically has a lighter green, especially when you see it as a whole or a patch of it. By a patch of it, it's going to be a more pale green look. I know that might sound crazy right now in this video. Yeah, I'm really struggling, so it's good for you to see the struggle and hear the struggle, just to know like it is difficult. It's difficult. I can't really tell you something that's easy other than the way that you have kind of like your mother stem here, and then it goes out into these other stolons or runners. Let's get it out here where you can see it better. It's a lot more vigorous and easy to pull up in zoysia than it is on centipede. All those centipede runners that I was able to pull up today, they all came off in singular stems, a lot more concentrated, the leaves going up the runner, up the stolon, up the stem. By the way, stolons are called above ground stems. It's a stem like on a tree branch, and it just grows along the ground. In general, zoysia is a thicker grass than Bermuda. As you can see, you get a lot of these together, it's going to form a thicker canopy on the zoysia as opposed to the Bermuda. If the researchers can't distinguish it with the naked eye and they have to get under a microscope, then I sure can't tell you who are trying to figure it out without a microscope. It's just one of the things you're just going to have to do the best you can. To learn as quickly, go to a nursery and see what their zoysia looks like. Go to a nursery and see what their Bermuda looks like, an outdoor garden center. And that's one of the best ways to learn, to be able to see those differences. Pay attention in the transition parts of the year as to the different colorations, the different scale of color of what what color the zoysia looks like in February as opposed to Bermuda grass. The canopy texture is going to be different in zoysia and Bermuda grass. That's all I got for you on this video. I hope you were able to learn more than just one thing. And let me know if you have any questions in the comments, and I'll be happy to answer.